What's up, everybody? I'm gonna start making videos, maybe not consistently, but I'm just gonna start doing fight breakdowns on UFC, sometimes maybe boxing, sometimes PFL, sometimes one, sometimes Bellator, sometimes Contender Series, sometimes Ultimate Fighter when it comes back around. But yeah, I'm gonna start doing fight breakdowns here and there. So I'm gonna start with next week's event. Brady versus Gilbert Burns. Starting with the first fight, we got Gigantes Ramajka versus Nathan Fletcher, two guys coming off the Ultimate Fighter. Gigantes, huge pressure fighter, stays in your face, doesn't back down. He's a finisher as well. I think he's all of his fights are by finish, all of his wins are by finish. Yep. Or yeah, all wins by finish. One loss by knockout, one by decision. He's a dog. I watched his fights in the Ultimate Fighter. There's one fight against Beck. He's a dog, man. He is really a dog. And I think he that's why he had to pull out of that the next fight for the Ultimate Fighter was because he had broken bones in his face. He's a pressure fighter, very well versed. He can get it done on the ground and standing up. He's a pressure fighter. That's really how to describe him. He's a dog. Nathan Fletcher, more of a grappler, but also a finisher on the ground. If it goes to the ground, he's probably gonna finish you. Yeah, he's got 6 wins by submission, only one by knockout. That shows he's a grappler. He lost to Khan in the Ultimate Fighter, who just went to the finals, the finale, and lost to Santos. So I don't feel like Khan's a bad loss. However, I feel like in this fight, in this matchup, Gigantes will definitely have the edge on the feet. And how I see this fight playing out, Gigantes pressuring. Fletcher trying to go for takedowns, not getting them, and really just Gigantes keeping the pressure on Fletcher and piecing him up on the feet. Uh, Maybe even getting a finish like inside the distance, like round 2 or 3 knockout. I could see him finishing Fletcher just off his pressure, wearing Fletcher down and knocking him out. If Fletcher wants to win this fight, the way that he wins is by grappling heavy, obviously. He won't be able to stay in front of Gigantes. And if he does, he's gonna get hit. So he's gotta be willing to get hit a lot to win this fight if he wants to use his grappling and furthermore, if he's gonna win this fight, it's gonna be on the ground, definitely. I don't see him winning anywhere on the feet. I think Gigantes is way too sharp, keeps the pressure way too much, and it has his opponents backing up, which could wear on Fletcher. So yeah, give me Gigantes by knockout rounds 2 or 3. On to the next fight. We got Andre Petrosky, former Ultimate Fighter, versus Dylan Budka. Kind of a grappler versus grappler matchup here. Budka, yeah, he's a grappler. He's gonna wrestle most of his fights. Coming off a loss to Cesar Almeida, which is not a bad loss at all. Not a bad loss. I mean, Cesar Almeida is a very, very good striker. As we saw in Almeida's last fight, he got taken down by the striker Roman Kopylov. So that just shows you that no one really wants to strike with Almeida. So not a bad loss for Budka here. However, Petrosky definitely has the edge and experience. Um, Way bigger edge and experience. However, I don't like the line here. I think the line might be a little bit too wide. Um, the line's a little bit too wide for me, honestly. Um, Petrosky should be able to defend the takedowns from Budka and keep it on the feet here and win by decision on the feet. Coming off a win to Josh Frem and that weird knockout loss to Jacob Malkoun. Before that, it was Michelle Pereira. Not a bad loss to Pereira. Um, Yeah, Budka, he's a heavy grappler, but Petrosky's also he's a pretty big grappler too. So, but I do see Petrosky winning this fight on the feet by decision. I don't see really anyone getting a finish in this fight. And if and someone does get a finish, it's probably Petrosky, honestly, probably by knockout. On the next fight, we got Jacqueline Amarim versus Vanessa Demopoulos, and Amarim she lost to Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes, not really a great person to lose to, but at the same time, Hughes is someone that she just took someone else's undefeated record too. Who was that? Dudakova. Yeah, she just beat Dudakova. Um, I wouldn't say it's not a great person to lose to, but also like Sam Hughes does have a lot of experience. Yeah, so uh coming off two wins, a quick armbar win to Corey McKenna. I don't know how she was the underdog in that fight, but she was somehow. And coming off another win to Montserrat Ruiz, who's been finished a lot in the UFC. Yeah, three last losses are by ground and pound, or two of them by knockout, all three by knockout. So yeah, I would say that Amarim's definitely in her prime right now. Um, definitely in her prime. Way I want to say way better than Demopoulos on the ground because Demopoulos that's also where her game is too is on the ground. But being Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, Amarim should be able to she should have a pretty significant edge on the ground. And I think she has a huge reach advantage too. Yeah, almost 10-inch reach advantage. So honestly, realistically, Amarim should be able to win this fight however she wants to, whether it's on the feet or on the ground. Most likely on the ground, but since Demopoulos is not that bad of a grappler, I could see Amarim just winning on the feet for 3 rounds and maybe getting a submission in between those rounds. Demopoulos somehow she wins fights somehow, like even as big underdog, like she wins fights. And I wouldn't say she's definitely not one of the best, like technically, but she makes all of her fights like a dog fight, and that's probably why she wins because her opponents make the fights like too close of a fight of a competition where it shouldn't be that close with Demopoulos. Um, Demopoulos is going to be at a big disadvantage with the reach. So I do see Amarim winning this, and she should win pretty easily. However, she should win however she wants to win, on the feet or on the ground, honestly. Amarim's in her prime, and I do rate her very high for what is it? Yeah, for strawweight. I rate her very high for strawweight. Um, honestly, could compete for a title in I don't want to say in the near future, but maybe like 4 or 5 more wins, 3, 4, 5 more wins, especially by finish. She's a finisher. A lot of wins by submission. She should be able to fight for a title in the future. She's a good prospect for the strawweights. On the next fight, we got Gabriel Santos versus Yisha. Um, Santos coming off 2 losses, one to Lerone Murphy and the other one to David Onamo. Murphy not a bad loss at all. I mean, he's probably one of the best, if not the best one of the best prospects for featherweights right now. Um, then you got Yisha. Definitely is gonna have the edge and experience. Um, and he's more of a grappler than a striker. He got 14 wins by submission. His only loss in the UFC was to Zhang Young Lee. Yeah, which isn't a terrible loss, and it's only to split decision. So, um, Santos probably has the edge on the feet. I would probably say, um, should have the edge on the feet. Um, but he's also no slouch in the ground, obviously coming from Brazil. So, and he also can go the distance if needed. Um, However, coming off a two fight skid, um, I'm gonna pick Yisa here. I mean, Yisa's been coming off some wins from Road to UFC, a couple finishes to some seasoned guys. Yisa, also in the UFC, once in the UFC before, only fought once with that one loss to Zhang Hyung Lee. And I feel like he's gonna have the experience edge most definitely. He's gonna want it more. He's gonna want to be here more um to prove his point. I mean, same with Santos. I mean, coming off two losses, you don't want to with a third loss, he'll probably be out of the UFC, but I feel like everything's in favor for Yisha here. So line's way too wide for me. I'm gonna definitely pick Yisha here. Um by decision. Let me get Yisha by decision. This should be a really good fight too. Andre Lima versus Felipe dos Santos. Um, Andre Lima coming off a split to Mitch Raposo. Yeah, and his last other only other win in the UFC was the bite fight with Igor Severino. So I feel like Felipe dos Santos. This is a striker's delight right here. I mean, two strikers. Um, Lipe definitely fought the more skillful fighters, especially in Manel Kape. And Altamirano, that was a close fight. I mean, some people would say that Altamirano won, but yeah, this is a close fight, as the odd makers say. I mean, Lima being a slight favorite, only probably because he's still undefeated. Um, I think Lipe more experience and probably better on the ground. Better if it goes to the ground, yeah. Three submissions. I don't think Lima has any. Yeah. But both can go the distance if needed, which credit their credits their gas tank. So um I'm gonna take Lipe here just off experience ever so slightly. I mean, fighting Manel Cop, that's a really that's a high level striker you're fighting in Manel Cop. So I'm gonna take Dos Santos here. Ever so slightly. I feel like he has the reach advantage too here. So he should be able to this should be a fight that's played out on the feet, strictly on the feet, but if it does go to the ground, I think Dos Santos will have the edge. So give me Santos by decision. Next fight, Isaac Dogarian, the Midwest Chop, a huge favorite against Brandon Moreau. Uh, Coming off a loss, close fight. Some people would say it was not as close as a split, but lost to Christian Rodriguez, who took the undefeated streak of Dogarian and also of Raul Rosas. And Bulgarian should have the edge in this fight compared to Moreau. I feel like Moreau, his last loss was to who? Was it McKinney? Yeah, that was that bounce back fight for McKinney. And McKinney, I mean, we know who McKinney is, really like a one round fighter. And McKinney, if he's not getting out of the first round, I mean, he's probably gonna lose. So, and I mean, not a bad loss from Moreau losing to McKinney, but at the same time, it kind of is because McKinney's I don't know how to describe McKinney as a fighter, but definitely not one of the best lightweights. Or wait, yeah, okay. So this fight's at featherweight. Moreau's going down in weight to fight Bulgarian. Bulgarian should have the edge. He's definitely gonna have the edge in grappling here, and I feel like he even should have the edge on the feet. I mean, only thing that scares me with Bulgarian is his gas tank, his cardio. Because we saw he puts the pressure on fighters, but that kind of paid the price last fight with Rodriguez. So I mean, odd makers say that Bulgarian should be able to get a quick finish here, but we'll see how this fight goes. Just give me Bulgarian by TKO round one or submission. Next fight, I feel like it's closer than the odd makers seem it out to be. So we got OSP versus Ryan Spann. OSP coming off a split to Kennedy and Nzechukwu. And then Span coming off a knockout, kind of a nasty knockout loss to Bogdan Guskov. And before that, I mean, going to a split with Anthony Smith. Krylov, not too bad of a loss, but at the same time, kind of is because Krylov, he can beat the best light heavyweight in the world one night and lose to the worst on the next night. So, I don't know why Ryan Spann is minus. I mean, I get why he's minus 300 because um, OSP is definitely in the latter parts of his career. Uh, However, I can't trust Ryan Spann at all. I mean, he has cardio problems, and obviously he's been chinny. I mean, you see him get chinned, and yeah, OSP is kind of the same with him. I mean, OSP does not have the best gas tank, and he can be chinny too. I mean, he can get rocked, he can get stumbled. Ryan Spann should have the edge on the ground here, but on the feet, I mean, actually, I don't know, honestly. I mean, I see this is a well-matched fight right here. I mean, OSP is really good. He's no slouch on the ground. I mean, he's got a lot of finishes by submission, 9, 11 by knockout. Spans probably should have more finishes by submission, I would say, yeah. 12 by sub, 6 by knockout. So I would say it's kind of even on the ground, but on the feet, honestly, OSP might even have the edge on the feet. So I don't get why Ryan Spence with minus 300 favorite. I do see it being a striking battle though. If someone's gonna grapple, shoot for takedowns, it's probably gonna be Span. Um, However, get his gas tank, his chin, Span, all that just worries me about Span. So I'm gonna take OSP right here by decision. If that's not the outcome, then it's probably Ryan Span by finish. One of those two are bound to happen. So yeah. But give me OSP by decision. Next fight should be a really good fight. Chris Padilla versus Rong Zhu. Rong Zhu's only lost in the UFC, I believe, is to Ignacio Bahamondes. Unless he fought someone before. Okay, no, lost to Vargas, who's not in the UFC anymore. But Bahamondes is not a bad loss at all, if you ask me. He's gone on a little finish streak here. And Padilla with a big upset win, excuse me, over who was that? James Yontop. Yeah, James Yontop. But I feel like Rongju definitely has the edge and experience here, and honestly, probably a better striker than Padilla. So I could see Rongju getting a finish either way here by knockout, or probably maybe even submission if it does go that way. Because I mean, Rongju's not bad on the ground either. He's got what 7 by sub, yeah, but most of his wins are coming by knockout. So I could see Rongju win this fight by knockout or decision if it stays on the feet. This should be another really good fight right here. We got Trevor Peek versus Yanal Ashmouz. It's a pick'em fight. Ashmouz coming off a loss to Chris Duncan. And who did Trevor Peek just lose to? Charlie Campbell. And Charlie Campbell actually fought Chris Duncan on Contender Series a while back. But Trevor Peek, crazy fighter. Walk you down, chin up in the air, hands down, holds a lot of power. He makes all of his fights a dogfight, which is kind of why he wins fights because fighters cannot handle his his pressure and his the dog fight that he brings. He makes all of his fights messy. There's not one clean Trevor Peek fight. However, he's not that really good. Like technically on the feet, he's not that good. He's not a sharp striker. He's a powerful striker, but not a sharp one. I feel like Ash Moose should be better technically on the feet. And if it needs to go to the ground, I feel like Ash Moose should probably have the edge. But I mean, these are two strikers. It's a striker versus striker here. Um, it's a pick 'em as you see. I feel like Ash Moose is definitely better technically on the feet. Peak might have the power edge. So I'm curious on how this fight plays out. If Ash Moose will be able to handle like the pressure and just if Peak walks him down. Um, but I think Ash Moose is a better striker than Peak, most definitely. Um, so yeah, this fight should play out on the feet, and I'll take Ash Moose by decision. On the next fight, we got Danger Matt Schnell versus Alessandro Costa. Schnell definitely has the edge in experience. I mean, he's got losses to most recent one, nasty knockout over or from Steve Erceg. Nicolau, brutal knockout. Roy Val, not a bad. I mean, these aren't bad losses, not terrible losses. I mean, these are all top 10 flyweights, especially yeah, top 10 flyweights, all of them. And he has that crazy comeback win over Sumu Darji. Um, Matt Schnell, he's good on the ground and he's pretty good on the feet too. He has good boxing. However, his only problem is his chin. I mean, his chin is honestly is cooked. As you see, 5 losses by knockout. Like he's got a cooked chin. Um, the line, I see why the line is where it's at because Schnell can be chinny. And he's coming off 2 losses, especially 2 kind of bad knockouts. However, Costa's never really shown me too much, honestly. He's got a most recent win over Kevin Borjas. I mean, not that good. But his losses are to Cream of the Crop, Steve Erceg, and Amir Albazi, 2 top 10 flyweights. So, and then a knockout over Jimmy Flick. I feel like the way this fight plays out it should be on the feet, honestly. But if it goes to the ground, I mean, it's kind of even on the ground if you ask me, because Schnell has most of his wins by submission, right? Yeah. So Schnell's good on the ground and good on the feet. Costa probably has an edge on the feet. Costa's better on the feet. But this is a closer fight than I feel like the odds makers say. But I wouldn't be surprised if Costa gets a quick finish, honestly, because of Max Schnell's chin. On this is a good fight too. This is a good card, man. This is an underrated card. We got Kyle Nelson versus Steve Garcia. Steve Garcia, good, pretty decent striker. Kyle Nelson not that bad either. I mean, this guy can get it done everywhere, as you can see, decision, knockout, submission. And Steve Garcia, he's a knockout artist. I mean, he's knocking everybody out. That's 13 by knockout. And he can go to decision if he needs to for a couple wins, but he's got good. I mean, both two experienced fighters. I wouldn't say Steve Garcia has the best losses. I mean, losing to Mahashate and Luis Pena, not that good of losses. But he's on a 4 fight knockout streak, and he's got good striking. Both fighters 16-5. Kyle Nelson, he's well versed everywhere, as you can see. I mean, you got what 6 by knockout, 4 by sub, and he can go decision too. So his gas tank is not a problem at all. Coming off a win, Bill Algeo. I think, if I'm not mistaken, some people said it was early stoppage. Good win over Padilla. That was an upset. I mean, I was there for that in person, and he took Blake Bowler's undefeated streak. Not terrible losses to Jai Herbert and Billy Q, and Diego Ferreira. Not a bad loss at all. Um, I'm gonna take Kyle Nelson as a dog here. Feel like I mean Garcia probably not some of the best cardio, honestly, but he's a knockout artist. I mean, Kyle Nelson does have to be careful if he's gonna walk Steve Garcia down. Um, but this should be a really good fight. Should be a striking matchup on the feet. I'm gonna take Kyle Nelson by this slight decision. Then we got the co-main, Jessica Andrade versus Natalia Silva. I'm a big Natalia Silva fan. Breaking down this fight, I feel like Silva's definitely the better striker. She's a flashy striker, kicks, knees, punches, elbows, yeah, that stuff. She's probably better than Andrade, but Andrade definitely more experienced. What does she have? Like almost 30 fights in the UFC? Yeah, 27. And Andrade definitely has the edge and experience. I'm not too sure about Silva's grappling, honestly. If this fight goes to the ground, Andrade might have the edge. And I feel like Andrade, her key to winning this fight is by grappling. if she's gonna have to wear down Silva with her wrestling and make her tired, honestly, and slow her down. Um, Andrade, and Andrade has only lost to like the cream of the crop in the UFC. I mean, Valentina, Joanna, Weili Zhang, Rose. I mean, Blanchfield, good prospect. Yan Xiaonan just fought for the belt against Zhang Weili. Suarez, probably one of the best female prospects there's ever been. I think she's a future champ. Coming off wins to Marina Rodriguez and Mackenzie Dern. Um, kind of somewhat of a close fight against Rodriguez, but I feel like Andrade, yeah, she definitely has the edge in the power and maybe like the wrestling, the grappling. We're gonna have to see how that plays out if she utilizes her grappling at all. Um, Silva definitely a flashy striker, better technically if you ask me. Um, Coming off a win to Viviane Araújo. Andrea Lee, it's okay win, and then a knockout to Leonardo. We just saw how Leonardo got done in her last fight. Bad. And Bleda, okay. Jazavicius, not a it's a pretty good, decent win. Um, I think Silva will have definitely have the edge here on the feet. I can see her if Andrade does not utilize her grappling, I could see Silva honestly just out striking her and then wearing her out like to the body and then maybe getting like a late knockout round two or three. So yeah, give me Natalia Silva in the co-main. Then we got main event. We got Gilbert Durinho Burns, fan favorite, versus prospect Sean Brady. Only loss is to the current champ Bilal Muhammad, and coming off a win to Calvin Gastelum. Gastelum was moving down from middleweight. Um, Durinho coming off that crazy comeback win, uh, crazy knockout by JDM, crazy comeback knockout. And before that, his only other loss was to Bilal Muhammad. I mean, he's beat Jorge Masvidal and Neil Magny recently in the past 2 years, but I mean, those aren't, I wouldn't say some of the best wins. Two guys that are, I mean, Jorge's already out of the UFC and Neil Magny could be on his way out soon, who knows? But two older welterweights. But I mean, Durinho's always game. He's always fighting like, and really anybody. I don't know who Gilbert Durinho Burns hasn't fought or said no to. So, um, it should be a good fight. Sean Brady, I feel like is definitely in his prime compared to Durinho. Like way in his prime compared to Durinho. Durinho's probably only has a few more fights, honestly, like in the UFC, especially if he keeps on this losing streak, 2 fight losing streak. Um, we saw Durinho grapple really heavy against JDM. I mean, he was winning that fight. Durinho was winning like definitely the first 2 rounds and probably even he was winning the third too. But I feel like Durinho's older now and he kind of gassed out. He gassed out in the third round with JDM and JDM just put it on him. Um, it's kind of this is a grappler versus a grappler. So this honestly could play out on the feet. Picks are split, pretty much almost split. Um, yeah, this is a grappler versus grappler. I feel like I wonder who's gonna be trying to press the grappling. Um, I'm not really too sure who, but this should be a good fight. I mean, I'm definitely gonna pick Brady here just for being in his prime. He should be quicker and somewhat a little bit stronger. Um, Honestly, and I don't know who I don't know who has the edge on the feet or on the ground, honestly, because Durinho is really good on the feet too. I mean, you saw him in his last fight; he was using elbows against JDM. He was striking with JDM, but usually Durinho's path to victory is always grappling. So I don't know how he's gonna win against Sean Brady here, like if he can't grapple. But also Brady, his path to victory a lot of times is grappling because he's a heavy grappler too. So I'm not sure how this fight is going to play out. I am picking Brady just for being the younger, more in shape, informed fighter. Um, yeah, I think Brady should win this fight. Um, especially if it stays on the feet. I mean, I feel like it's going to be more detrimental to Durinho if he utilizes his grappling because it we saw him kind of tire out last fight. So Brady's younger, should be definitely more in shape. So I'm gonna pick Brady here by decision, and I think that yeah, that's it. So hopefully I'll start making videos. Sometimes I might break the fight breakdowns of whatever UFC, Dana White, Contender Series, what else? Bellator, PFL, um, Ultimate Fighter when it comes back around. Maybe even some boxing. I don't know, but definitely UFC and to keep some picks going, fight breakdowns. Um, yeah.